Terra Arcanum is a world filled with wonder. From the four planes to the mysterious abyss, nearly everything has a story to tell. But to learn more about this fantastic world, we need to dive deeper than the books and the tabletop RPG. Join me as we reveal the secrets of Terra Arcanum. Terra Arcanum is my own little world that I started writing my novels in. But it is a vast universe that I've created, and much of it doesn't make it onto the pages or into the RPG. So I've decided to make a collection of videos that hold the secrets of this cosmos so that you can delve deeper into the lore of this amazing world. Today we're going to be looking at the four planes which make up the universe of Terra Arcanum. The mortal plane, the immortal plane, the elemental plane, and the arcane plane are the foundations of Terra Arcanum. These four fundamentals make up the very universe of this fictional cosmos. Each one is home to its own unique forms of life, and each is connected to each other in the subtlest of ways. But first, let's take a look at some of the similarities between all of them. Each plane can be thought of as its own universe. They are all in a constant state of expansion, and they each have their own laws that govern them. Some scholars on Terra have theorized that each plane is within the same universe, and that they will one day meet each other. This is wrong, however, for if two planes were to ever cross, it would destroy them both completely. This makes traveling between the planes both difficult and very dangerous. Only a handful of creatures are able to make the journey to another plane without destroying themselves in the process. These include creatures such as immortals, elementals, and beings of immense arcane power. Though the civilized races of Terra have yet to discover how to plan your travel, they would be unable to survive the endeavor without protective gear, and so for now must study the other planes from afar, using what instruments they have to detect the other planes. The first plane we'll discuss in depth is also the youngest, the mortal plane. This plane is where the vast majority of Terra Arcanum happens. As the name suggests, the plane is home to mortals. Every form of life on this plane will eventually die. The only known exception are the Titans, a race of immortals that call this plane their home. The mortal plane functions very similar to our own universe. It is made up of billions of galaxies, each with billions of solar systems. Magic is present here, much like in the other planes, but its presence is weaker here than on most, and the fewest creatures on this plane can wield the power of true magic. As a result, beings from other planes often look down on mortals as weak and pathetic creatures. But the mortal plane does boast the largest biodiversity of any of the planes. On the world of Terra alone, there are more than 1 million species of life, and who knows how many more creatures lurk in the darkness beyond Terra's atmosphere. The immortal plane, as the name suggests, is a plane that is home to beings that are immortal, and it is the second youngest of the four planes. The two most prominent races here are the Kaldraxi and the Nuname, also referred to as daemons and angels by the mortals of Terra. These two races have a long history that dates back well before Terra was formed, but more on that in a future episode. Similar to the mortal plane, the immortal plane is also a void where stars give off the only light in a vast ocean of black space. Strangely, despite the immortal plane being older than the mortal plane, it is actually smaller. Why its expansion is so much slower than the mortal plane is still a mystery. As they are known on Terra, may live indefinitely, they can still be killed if its heart were to be pierced. While all life on this plane is highly resilient to most material from the mortal plane, they are very vulnerable generally to objects of their own world, as well as from the elemental and arcane powers from the other planes. The elemental plane is a maelstrom of chaos, and it was the second plane to burst forth into existence. Unlike the mortal and immortal plane, this plane has no vacuum where planets and stars reside. Instead, it is an ever-expanding conflux of elemental power. The only beings that live in this nightmarish hellscape are the elementals, each one made of fire, water, earth, wind, light, and/or shadow. Many are purely of one element, while many others are a raging conglomeration of multiple of these elements. These beings are birthed erratically by the plane itself, and their life is just as chaotic as their parent. Elementals only live a short time unless they consume others to fuel their own life. As such, the older an elemental is, the stronger and more powerful it is. The oldest living elementals are thought to be even older than the immortal plane, and it's unknown if anything other than an elemental can even survive in this plane of existence. Little is known of the oldest of the four planes. In fact, on Terra, its existence was only theoretical until recently, used as the only definitive way to explain certain phenomena. Even now, Terrans debate about what lies within this mysterious plane and how it even came into being. In truth, the arcane plane was formed at the beginning of the entire universe, and through its own uncontrollable powers, is partially responsible for the formation of its sister planes. It is made up of raw magical energy in its purest form, and it's the reason that magic flows through to the other planes. This is because it is most connected to the other planes, and this connection it shares causes its power to bleed into the others. It is suspected that using magic pulls directly from this plane, as well as the user's own magic, but this hypothesis is unproven. Because of the raw power contained within the arcane plane, it is the only plane where no life is known to exist. Some have speculated that life does thrive within the roiling energies, but it, like the elementals, is made up of the same magic that created it, and would thus be undetectable to most instruments. However, in the end, such mysteries may never be solved, as Terrans would never survive on the plane even with protective gear. And so this wonderful plane that allows its sister planes to even exist as they do, will keep its secrets from all.